of chocolates. His name is Phillip Ashley Ricks, and he owns Phillip Ashley Chocolates, which opened just yesterday in Cooper Young. And I have to tell you, my husband thinks himself a chef. He's quite an extraordinary cook. I took one of these chocolates home to him, and it's got fig, goat cheese, and port wine in it. And since it's my chocolate and I will be eating it, I'm going to show you which one it is. Look at this, in a chocolate shell. This is hand-painted work of art. So please welcome Phillip Ricks. So I want to hear about how you became a chocolatier, but first, since I've had them feast on these chocolates with their eyes, and I said if they eat them, they're dead women. Tell me about each of these chocolates.
Sure. These are just 6 of nearly 130 different chocolates that I've developed over the last several years.
And I only saw about 60 of them yesterday at the opening, right?
We just had a few over there, a little less than half. And so we have the ones you have here. The first one's called Geisha. Each has a name and relative to the ingredients and the style that it's designed in. And so that's kind of part of the whole every chocolate should tell a story thing. But this one is the first one was a cherry blossom. It's rose water, dried cherry, and white tea. Then the other one is called Coco Loco. It's coconut, pineapple, and Meyer lemon.
Oh my gosh.
And it got its name mainly because it was, a lot of times, there's a lot of thought that goes into the chocolates, but sometimes I'm like, I don't need to create something, different. I want to use some ingredients. And so I just put those together, and when I taste it, I was like, this is crazy. And so, the Coco Loco. So, and this one is another really popular one. It's called Key West.
Look at this, lime green.
Yeah, it's my interpretation of a key lime pie in a chocolate. So
can't wait to taste that.
yeah, it's a 2-layer chocolate with mascarpone, key lime rum, and white chocolate, and then the second layer is a milk chocolate ganache that's infused with graham cracker. So yeah, so the crust.
I know. Sean's mouth is just wide open. She's hoping I'll pop one in. Okay, what about this one?
Yes. So this one is one my friends over at Ghost River. They gave me a couple growlers of Oktoberfest, and so I made a pumpkin spice caramel with another layer of their Oktoberfest beer in a truffle. So,
and tell me how this one came to be. I've already described the port wine and goat cheese and fig. How beautiful is that?
Well, yeah, one of the things I do is design chocolates for distillers, vintners, and things like that. So
and restaurants.
And so a company actually in Portugal called Churchill Graham, they originally approached me about designing chocolates with their port wine, and at the same time, Ryan Trim, chef of Sweetgrass, said, hey, I'm having a wine tasting, and it's a port wine that we're using for the dessert course. So I use Capricho de Cabra, which is the goat cheese, the Spanish version of Chef, and then fig jam and their port wine. It's a late bottle vintage port wine.
That's when my husband said, wow, this guy is a genius.
Yeah, and it's a dark chocolate shell that's just been hand-painted airbrush.
So you not only see that the chocolates themselves are works of art, but look at this exquisite packaging. The box, the bag that it comes in, the box that it comes in with the little magnetic top, the card itself. And what's so cute is when you go into the store, and I just found this out yesterday, it's like ordering sushi. He has this adorable little menu that you can just be looking and listening to the stories and say, I'll have 16 of those, and oh, make that 24. And anyway, it was a lot of fun to be here yesterday.
Thank you.
So tell us about this last one, and then we're going to talk about how you became a chocolatier.
Sure, passion fruit caramel. And so I have an entire line of caramels that mimic or look like gemstones. And so we actually did a photo shoot.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We did a photo, so that's a passion fruit caramel with an Australian pink flake, and we have a whole line of sea salt. So they're sea salted caramels.
Oh my gosh.
But we did a photo shoot in Joseph's Jewelers. She brought about $500,000 in gemstones and set stones, and we did a big photo shoot with the caramels and the diamonds, and we had 20 karat sapphires.
Clever.
Yeah.
So they can just package the chocolate in with the gemstone.
Sure.
The woman
She's
thinks she's
giving
getting
them
chocolate, and then whoops, there's this amazing gem.
Yeah, so do some
So
things like that.
I know the story, but I know the audience wants to know the story. How did you become a chef? Because I know you have a corporate background. I
Sure.
mean, take us there.
Yeah, it was just an evolution over time, and actually looking back, really started when I was a kid. You know, I kind of had that. My grandfather was in construction and my grandmother cooked, so I spent a lot of summers there. So learned about gardening, learned about you know, cooking things. You know, kind of a farm to table, because they had a lot of land out there. And then you know, learned how to build and do things with my hands. And then aunts and uncles were painters, and so that's where the whole. So you know, kind of growing up, I didn't really think much about it, but you know, as I came into this, yes. But career-wise, I actually spent the last 12 years in corporate sales and marketing. So I did a lot of business training, corporate sales training for FedEx for a period, and then Apple for the last you know, several years. And so,
how cool is
yeah,
that?
so I got to travel all over. I actually spent a lot of time. I lived in Baltimore in the Maryland area for several years, doing international sales, and so that's when I did some traveling, and it just really got more into chocolate, and you know, started tasting some things, and really, you know, and I had a piece of chocolate from a company. I was like, and I literally sat down and said, man, I could do better than this. And what I meant from that was simply that, you know, there was not a lot of imagination, and as I did research and that sort of thing, I noticed everything was very straightforward. I was like, well, why isn't there this, or why isn't there that? You know, I was a cooking enthusiast at the time, so I was a hobbyist, and you know, but I nothing major. I never made chocolate before in that capacity, but I spent about 2 years, and I just dove in deep in research. So I'm self-trained in chocolate and as a chef, but I spent 2 years totally on the cerebral side, and just, you know, absorbed everything. I really paid attention to what wasn't out there, more so than what was, and so.
Typical entrepreneur, go in, create that niche.
Sure, and so hence this came, and so my very first chocolate is called Mama Jean. It was actually named for my grandmother, and so I took sweet potato and turned it into a chocolate, and that was really popular.
Wow.
People really.
And that's in the Memphis collection,
Yeah, that's
right?
in the Memphis collection. I have a collection that's called The Taste of Memphis. And it's basically a walk or a stroll through a barbecue joint in Memphis. So we have the barbecue chocolate, we have the sweet potato, the one with beer in it, there's a bourbon, there's an Arnold Palmer, so it's a sweet potato, or excuse me, a sweet tea caramel and lemonade ganache. Yeah.
And are you ready for this?
Oh my goodness.
The collection is $32, and $7 straight off the top goes to the Fireman's Fund. Is that right?
Yeah, well, no, the Fallen Officers Memorial.
Fallen Officers
Yeah,
Memorial.
we
So you
donate
got a
that.
guy with a heart here, as well as
So
very
we donate
talented
a
chef.
portion of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Is there an
So-
Elvis?
Yeah, say it again.
Is there an Elvis chocolate?
I've been talking to some people from over there, so we'll see. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You got to go to the store. You two who are in Memphis from Nashville today, you have got to go to the store. When he gets off the set, he goes straight to the shop.
Yeah.
$7.89.
798 South Cooper. Yeah, 798 South
798.
Cooper,
What's the
right
name
in the
of the store?
heart. It's Phillip Ashley Midtown or Phillip Ashley Chocolates.
And-
But yes.
And for those of you who want to follow us, I hope you're on Twitter using at BO Coffee for Business Over Coffee, and at, are you ready for this? Chocistry, CHOCISTRY, and that word is a
Portmanteau.
portmanteau. It's when you take two words and put them together, and I'm assuming that's chocolate and chemistry.
It is absolutely.
Guaranteed to make you feel like you're in love, even if you're not. Just one bite, one melt in the mouth.
One of the things we do at the studio, we're closed on Sunday and Mondays, and we're open to the public Wednesday through Saturday. But on Tuesdays, it's by appointment only. So from noon to 6, you know, much like you would set a hair appointment, makeup, nails, that sort of thing. You call in or soon book online and say, hey, we want to come in and shop. We'll have a private shopping appointment for you. From 1 to 1:30, we'll serve you champagne. So we want to make everyone feel special when they're in there, and they'll have the studio to
Only 1 to
themselves.
1:30 is the
No,
champagne
no,
time.
no. It's just as an example, but no. So any time block between noon and 6. So if it's yourself, or hey, I'm sending my husband because he needs to pick me up something, or he's, you know, whatever, he's doing a surprise thing, or you bringing girlfriends, that sort of thing. We'll take care of you while you're picking out your chocolates, and they're on display in jewelry cases and that sort of thing.
So I have to ask, would you consider doing an event where you show people how to make a chocolate?
Well, yeah. One of the things in the kitchen, we do most of our production on the days we're closed and at night, just because a lot of, you know, the environment is essential to chocolate. But yeah, we'll do some demos, and that's some of the things that, you know, as we kind of get through the holidays, we'll do some chocolate demonstrations and stuff like that.
John asked about that.
Yeah.
My husband
Yeah.
definitely wants to come
Sure,
to a chocolate
sure.
event.
Cool.
So as we wrap up, what is one thing that you would really want the audience to know about you, about your chocolates, about the experience?
Sure. I think just to sum it all up, you know, the reason why I love doing this is because, and I talk about it all the time, every single chocolate I've made, you know, probably close to 60,000 pieces of over this time now. You know, I never get tired of it because I kind of take that approach much like a fashion designer. So a lot of times people, you know, kind of, you know, parallel me to Tom Ford or someone like that from a design perspective. You know, we design chocolates. That's why I call them designer chocolates. The flavors, the names, the look, the feel. It's really an experience, and it's above and beyond what's out there. And you know, we're putting blue cheeses in chocolate, and taking sweet corn and breaking it down and pairing it with basil. So it's really a taste experience, and so that's what I want people to see when they come into the boutique. But we're also working on a new website that's a virtual boutique, so something different than how you shop currently for chocolate. You'll be able to go online and select your pieces individually and really build your boxes online. So we're putting really working to make that experience from a user and client perspective.
I see Marva and Hilton doing something with him, don't you, to combine with their clothes? Well, as we wrap up, you know, we're bringing everyone together here at Business Over Coffee, and it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So let me give a shout out to Sarah Henley, Patty Cake Bakery, Gina Davis with CGG in SOC.
Custom Growth Group.
Okay, and Custom Growth Group, Susan David, Digital Oatmeal, Samantha Green, Lily's Gourmet Bakery. Am I saying that right?
Lily's.
That's right. Ellie's.
Lily.
Lily's, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Lily. And Mike Esposito, Pinpoint Visibility, Delmore Johnson of DelmoreJohnson.com, and Nashville Nabo, who's here today in the studio with us with an interview coming up, and of course, Women Partners. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, Phillip. And Nashville, I know you're going to want to head straight over to Phillip's when you get off the studio.
Yes, please do, please do.
Okay, thank you.
very
All
much.
right.
Those doors
See
are
what
open.
she's right.
Everywhere. Food,
You
people,
want to be on that side of the
music.
side?
Yeah, save me a beer.
Okay, we are off.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Chocolate sounds good.
I'm
I'm just getting ready to
My bad.
come.
All right.